This is Rooted Cosmic Soul, Season 2 of Broom Closet Recordings, Healing the Patriarchy-within, in the here and the there, offering rememberings in times of chaos, confusion, love, and belonging. I am Diedra, your sometimes reluctant but always growing guide. In this season, I'll be sharing channeled and conjured episodes related to healing the patriarchy within. There's a link in the description to the digital book titled the same. If you haven't already, please subscribe and like. This will help me grow the channel and therefore grow my ability to continue these offerings with dedicated focus. I deeply appreciate you being here.
Hey, Rooted Cosmic Souls. I've been thinking a lot about this idea of timeline shifts, paradigm shifts, changes in our realities, and its connection to the path of healing. Of course, specifically to my idea of healing the patriarchy within, which is increasingly becoming more and more clear to me that it is a path to becoming a more balanced human, a way to embody our humanity more fully, a way to be more fully human, different from what constructs of oppression, suppression, and control have offered humans within our current understanding of history and time. And so in this moment, my experience of this embodiment involves very specifically embarking on this path of healing with a bend toward the spiritual, meaning healing the self to have a better understanding of the spiritual path, my spiritual self, my connection to divinity, my cosmic self. And part of my purpose is to offer thoughts on that to other rooted cosmic souls, to may want to not be on Earth, but understand that Earth is where we are. And also the Earth is part of a very beautiful tapestry in the universe that deserves, as we do, unconditional love and a different relationship than what the current construct is offering. Relationship with Earth, relationship with ourselves, relationship with each other. Which brings me back to this idea of timeline change. And I mentioned this in a recent, either it was another Broom Closet or an insight journey, I don't remember which, but I was starting to have this idea around understanding timeline shift in a different way, that previously I have wanted it to be like in the movies, right? Around some entity or powerful being will snap their fingers or whatever they have, and boom, all pain and sorrow and hate is gone. And I'm not going to lie, if that's a possibility, I welcome it. And also, I feel like that could be a trapping of the construct. This idea that it's along the lines of spiritual bypassing, in that it's this idea that the most pleasant human experience is the human experience. And I don't know that that's true. I think that the human species is capable of committing amazingly beautiful acts of kindness, compassion, love, beauty, as well as ugliness, harm, danger, pain. and that part of being a cosmic soul or embodying a cosmic self in one's experience here on earth is about making choices between the polarities of being from a balanced self. So does that mean we're supposed to be in a world that's just all this idea of love and light? I don't think so. I think that that's an extreme in the polarity of what we're in now, with a lot of weight and harm, overly so. And so what happens if the timeline shift is not like in the movies? If it doesn't just shift and change? And that's what's got me thinking that I don't think it is that way. I think the energy doesn't change. What changes is our understanding and engagement and choices of the energy. And I'm still getting clear on what all this means. This is what I mentioned in a recent previous recording of what does it mean for us if what actually occurs in a timeline shift is not that the destruction or the imbalance, the toxic masculine imbalance, the outcomes of that toxic masculinity doesn't change immediately. What shifts in that timeline shift is the rooted cosmic soul who is doing the healing they came here to do. What shifts is one's awareness of that imbalance. And what shifts is one's ability to see choice differently, to connect with one's heart space differently. What shifts is the remembering of what unconditional love actually is. And that being able to see who each of our eyes are, that healing that we each are doing on our individual journeys, and remembering that we are enough, has this trickle. I don't want to use trickle because that sounds too much like Reaganomics, right? But has this impact, like that energy of understanding and offering unconditional love to self, then impacts the collective and allows us to share our heart in a different way. And by heart, I mean the truest sense of who you are. That I believe rooted cosmic souls are folks who have experienced, I think this is many of us because it's the construct, but have experienced harm in ways that have pushed us, or we have chosen to, I don't know the language, but to protect ourselves, to really to build up armor, particularly at the heart space, which I don't judge, and I've done it. And part of my healing is to forgive, to release, to let go. And maybe in this moment, with all the support that we're getting planetarily, by planetary I mean like through the shifts and the placements and the retrogrades, and I'm not an astrologer, so I don't want to talk too specifically to it, but I do highly recommend finding astrology based folks that you trust, that resonate with you, to help through your healing, because it can be really helpful to discern how to lean into the cosmic energy coming at us to support your healing journey for a spiritually based path? What if the timeline shift is not an external event? The timeline shift is an internal event. It is, and it is mostly about, given the construct that is overwhelming our planet, the construct here on Earth in this shift is around, ultimately, it is around unconditional love, first for self and Earth, and it moves out into the world. And part of that is around, for those of us who have been deeply, deeply in this for a while, there's awakenings that are happening. And at this point in the timeline shift, and particularly with the energy Saturn is offering and Venus is offering, is awakening to that which no longer serves us. And that can be relationships, jobs, ways of being that we've held on to for lack of knowing what else to do, and mostly probably fear. And the shift is the awareness that that's what is happening, and coming at that from the heart, um, to allow for the sadness and the grief that arises in the letting go of that. And a lot of what's going to support that shift, that timeline shift that is internal, is a balanced self, a balanced understanding that I am of Earth and of the cosmos, right? That's the point of rooted cosmic soul. And that in that, there's a lot of the healing that's happening is stepping into the vulnerability of who I am, really who I was before the construct taught me differently. So there's a lot of remembering I am enough. There's a lot of creating space within for what is actually working, even when what is working doesn't seem to make sense in an unbalanced construct. And that's the part of letting it go, and that allowing that there might be some sadness or grief there. And that in that sadness and grief, if we step into it and bring in any support one might need, friends, therapists, meditations, nature, like whatever you might need to step into it, more messages can come in about more healing. And when ready, able, willing, using your discernment, bringing in that sacred masculine as well to flow in thoughts that are from authentic passions and desires, that are flowing from your balanced sacral chakra and moving up in through a balanced solar plexus, where there's an understanding of worthiness and choice and free will, and flowing up into that heart where there's an understanding where I really can balance and harmonize an abundance perspective, a both end perspective, to look at what is actually working and create from that space. And that's the timeline shift. That's the path for now. That understanding that all the things I may be wanting or expecting in my outer world will first originate in my inner world. And I offer that from a place of, yeah, it's way more easier to know than to believe. Though I am starting to believe it, but there's a lot of healing in this construct that has to come, because so much of our beliefs have been taken. There's a lot of knowing that we have in our deepest selves, in our cosmic self, that we're remembering. And some of it, I can know it and remember it And there's a healing that continues to be necessary to believe it. And I think that's kind of what's happening right now with all the energy coming at us. So that's my offering. Sending so much love and compassion, grace, exploration, curiosity, protection, and as usual, unfettered and infinite love and gratitude out into the world.
This is Rooted Cosmic Soul, Season 2, Healing the Patriarchy-within, a Broom Closet recording, offered with infinite love and gratitude. Thank you for watching, listening, co-creating the energy necessary for this time and space to exist. My energy stays here, your energy stays there. Return when your spirit moves you to do so. Same Bruja time, same Bruja channel.